Alright, now that the honeymoon period of the expansion is starting to wear off, I want to take a deeper look at stuff like weapon crafting. Because there does appear to be a good amount of negativity surrounding weapon crafting. I've made a guide on how crafting actually works, but I haven't really spoken about my opinions on it. Is it working? Well, so let's explore some of the issues right now, of which there's really only one issue. One of the bigger issues was the Ascendant Alloy situation. I don't want to dwell on this too much, as one of the main sources of alloy, Rahul, has been bugged, but is now fixed. In fact, if you're watching this video as it comes out, you should know that Rahul has 2 alloy that are purchasable to make up for the bug. So go buy them. The other source is the weekly story mission, which I have been quite fortunate in, but I know others have not. But Bungie has also addressed that with improved drop rates. Bungie has said that the enhanced perks are end-game level perks, so I don't see them bending too much on the cost of them when it comes to alloy, but drop rates can always be adjusted, and they have been. The main issue appears to be the cost, but more importantly, the caps on materials. Neutral element caps out at 8,500, which I think is a bigger deal than the caps on legendary materials, at least right now, capping out at 250, with Ascendant Alloy capping out at 10. People are throwing completed deep sight weapons into their vault as a way of stockpiling these materials to get around the cap. Now, on top of wanting to try out all of the new guns from the expansion, plus maybe procrastinating cleaning out your vault, this is creating a situation where people are again capped on vault space, unable to store anything else, among other things. Now, maybe I am just misunderstanding this situation here, but I personally am failing to see the mentality behind the panic of weapon crafting and the materials for it. I'm also failing to see the urgency to be stockpiling that many completed weapons. Before you jump down my throat, let me explain my rationale. This video probably ain't gonna make too many people happy, but just hear me out first, and then you can yell at me. Crafting base level versions of weapons doesn't require any advanced materials, only neutral element and resonant alloy, which I imagine most very active players are probably pretty stocked with. As we know, most guns tend to not really have that many good perk combinations. There's usually a couple that are pretty solid. Sometimes there's only one combo that's even viable. Plus, not every single crafted gun is gonna be good, even in God mode form. I imagine some people will want at least one version of every craftable gun in their vault, I know I will, to be able to change their perks around, and the amount of people who will want multiples of certain crafted guns will be even fewer than that. But of course, we have enhanced perks, which everyone is in a frenzy to obtain. 2 things about enhanced perks. Number 1, they are meant to be end game level perks. End game, not just pick up on every single gun type perks. Number 2, on average, they're not that much more potent than the normal version of the perk, and that's to make sure that perks don't get too out of hand when it comes to balance. For example, auto-loading holster is normally 3 seconds to auto-reload. The enhanced version is what? 2.7, 2.8 seconds, something like that. The amount of people who will actually be able to use that enhanced perk to the fullest of its ability to pull off noticeable damage increases or effects is 4. 4 people will be able to maximize the 0.2 or 0.3 seconds you get from enhanced autoloading. I'm not one of them, neither are you. I don't know who these people even are, but it ain't us. Now, that's not to say other enhanced perks aren't a bit stronger, because I'm sure some of them are, but I haven't tested them just yet. Do I think any of them will be game-breakingly good that everyone needs to have them in order to participate in endgame content? Absolutely not. Why? Because we've been just fine without them. So I'm failing to see the urgency to have every single craftable gun raced to level 20 with enhanced traits 2 to 3 weeks into the expansion, other than, but I want it right now. I know I've been getting a steady flow of good weapons, some of them craftable, with good rolls already on them. If I get a weapon that is craftable with a good roll, I don't really plan on getting a crafted one with the enhanced versions of the perks in any sort of a hurry, because the regular one is gonna be just fine. Are people just swapping their perks non-stop? Are people trying out every single enhanced perk roll to see what they do? Like, what's happening here? Another thing is that I feel people thought maybe that weapon crafting was going to be completely replacing the weapon economy in the game and that everything was going to be crafted from now on, which is not really an idea that I felt Bungie was trying to push. I think something that's also added to the frustration has been the Wellspring Grind. People have been driving themselves up a wall trying to grind Wellspring for deep sight versions of the guns that they need for the exotic glaive quest, despite drop rates being abysmal. Bungie has addressed this and now have increased drop rates of said guns in the activity. But I thought it was pretty obvious that something was up with the drop rates from the get-go, and I think if you spend hours upon hours grinding this activity to get exotic glaive progress, you're probably someone who's pretty in tune with social media and thus knew that Bungie was going to address this, and I think you really only have yourself to blame for grinding something like this that much. So it does seem like the main issue overall is the material cap. Going from 2 normal perks to 2 enhanced perks will deplete 140 total legendary materials of the potential 1,000 that you can have, technically 1,250 because of the raid, scattered across all of the different material types, on top of 4,000 neutral elements, just under half the cap. I don't really plan on dying on the hill that Bungie shouldn't adjust material caps by at least a little bit. You know, maybe go up to 300, 400, something like that could alleviate some of the pressure. Bring neutral element up a bit as well, since that's where you're really going to be taking the big hits. But also, if you are that capped on materials, why not just spend them on the enhanced perks instead of driving yourself insane hoarding all of these completed deep sight weapons? The theory there is that you'll definitely have enough materials to instantly buy the perks you want on the gun that you're saving said materials for. But if you're hoarding because you're capped, you can just use the materials that you already have on the new gun that you just got and then just slowly grind back up to the cap over time. I imagine by the time you'll want to fully kit another gun, you'll probably be back up to the cap. You might not even need to grind at all, depending on the perks that you want. Another thing to keep in mind, these guns are going to be around forever. Crafting will be around, I assume, forever. You think Bungie really wants people to have every single crafted weapon perfectly done within the first 3 weeks of the feature being out? Of course not. You're able to craft 5 out of 5 perfectly god-rolled weapons with 0 RNG besides getting the plans. Something like that should take a decent amount of time to do, especially multiples, especially every single gun. That is an end game level pursuit. Now, something I can understand frustrations about is the fact that people were maybe anticipating a system that allowed them to swap things more freely than what is currently available. That is something I totally understand, as I thought that this system was going to be along those lines. It's not something that I think will change in the short term, but potentially something that Bungie might be more open to in the long term, although switching the system to a more perk unlocked forever after you buy it type of system might not be as easy of a fix as I or others might make it sound in terms of the technical aspect of making that happen. When it comes to material caps in general, since I know this has been a hot topic recently, I don't really anticipate them going away for better or for worse. I imagine they exist because Bungie wants people to have to make meaningful choices instead of just being able to stockpile infinite numbers of materials. On top of that, they want you to actually play the game. Like, let's be real here, not just farm for a couple of weeks and have enough materials to last you the rest of the franchise. I'm looking at you, Legendary Shards. The people who aren't able to get a ton of materials are likely never to experience any sort of capped situation, and the people who are able to get a ton of materials can pretty easily farm more of them if they really need them. There's also the postmaster storage method with gear materials being able to technically hold 40 shards and 200 prisms total. I've lost more materials to them getting shoved out of the postmaster than I've probably actually used. Now, I get it. If we can hold this many in that way, why not just make that the new cap? It's a great question. Makes sense. But I see the postmaster storage as more of a loophole type deal. So, I guess in conclusion, just slow down here, everybody. You don't need to be hoarding all of this stuff. You don't need every single gun 5 out of 5 god roll enhanced status 3 weeks into the expansion. This is going to be around a while. Having all of these guns is likely meant to be an end game pursuit. There is no rush. And while I think there wouldn't be much harm to raising the cap a little bit, I don't think there's a huge need to adjust it in a very significant way. The grinders are going to get their god weapons. I promise you, you're going to get there no problem. But otherwise, just take a breath. Ease off the throttle. Everything's fine. Just ease up. Just a little bit. All right? Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.